My boyfriend wants me to cut off contact with his brother after his brother defended me in an argument. Original post. My boyfriend John, 24 male, and I, 21 female, have been together for 2 years. I have known his brother, who I will call Ray, for most of that time. We have always gotten on well enough. The whole situation started with my 21st birthday party. We had a party at home with 20 or so friends and family. Ray was of course present at the party, along with a few other members of John's family. The party was going reasonably well. As it started to get later, I started to get a little tipsy, and most of the guests had started to go home. It eventually got down to a drunken little group made up of myself, John, Ray, and a couple of my girlfriends. We were sitting outside and one of my girlfriends decided to get on the trampoline. She managed to execute a pretty cool flip, and I expressed that I wished I knew how to do one. My friend talked me into giving it a try. I got up on the tramp, stumbled drunkenly, and fell down laughing. Everyone else except for John was laughing too. It didn't seem like much of an event until John got up, muttered "freaking pathetic" in an angry tone, and then told me that we needed to speak in private. I was pretty confused as to what was going on, so I asked him why. He answered me with, "Just stop being a stupid cow for a second and come to the bedroom." Both of my friends and Ray looked pretty shocked at this, but before I followed John to the bedroom, I told them it was fine, and John was probably just messing around. He can have a real temper sometimes, particularly after a few drinks, but I didn't think that would be the case in this instance as literally nothing upsetting had happened. Cut to me and John in the bedroom. He shuts the door and starts really going off. He tells me that I'm a disgusting drunk idiot and that I was showing off like some kind of pathetic wannabe by messing around on the trampoline, that I was an embarrassment to him and that I was to go to bed now and not leave the room until morning so that I would be less of an idiot in front of company. As this is going on, he is getting louder and louder and is slamming things around the room. I went to leave as I was quite upset at this point, but he blocked the door so I sat down on the bed. Ray was banging on the door and told John to open it. John went out into the hall and I could hear him and Ray arguing. Next thing I know, Ray comes into the room and says to go with him. I was sobbing like crazy at this point because I hate confrontation in general, so I just nodded and went with him. Ray made sure my other friends had left, and then we both got into a taxi. I don't know where John had gone, but he was still in the house somewhere. I was crying a bunch in the car and didn't say much, but Ray called his and John's mother and gave her a brief rundown of what happened. We got to Ray's place. He lives with a couple, and they were all really nice. The girl roommate lent me some stuff to sleep in, and Ray told me to take his bed and he would sleep on the couch. I was kind of all over the place, but eventually got some sleep. Next morning, I got up and had coffee with Ray and one of his roommates. Ray asked if John had behaved that way before, and I let him know about John's temper, but explained that he had never blown up over something as insignificant as me mucking around on a trampoline. I asked Ray if he thought maybe I did or said something that might have upset John and I didn't realize due to being tipsy, but Ray said no, and that John's behavior was unacceptable. I felt silly and embarrassed, especially knowing that Ray and my friends had heard everything John had said, and I told Ray I had better get home and try to sort things out. Ray said that he wanted me to stay at his place for just a bit longer to calm down, and that he would really prefer that I didn't go home straight away, as John could still be angry. I gave in and hung out there with Ray and his roommates. We all just played video games and got some takeout, and I ended up feeling much better afterward, so I'm glad I stayed. Early evening, I told Ray I should really go home. I didn't have any of my clothes, and more importantly, I needed my stuff for university the next day. He drove me over but didn't really want me to go inside. I told him it would really be fine and promised I would call him if anything happened. He agreed, but said he would wait outside for a few minutes just in case. I got inside and John wasn't home, so I told Ray to go and went about tidying up from the party. John eventually came back and seemed calm enough. I told him I thought we needed to have a talk and he agreed. We sat down on the couch and I explained to him that I didn't like the way he spoke to me last night and asked for an explanation. His response was, "I will discuss that with you. After you delete Ray's phone number, you won't be speaking to him again." I was confused as all heck at this and asked what that had to do with the matter at hand. He told me that Ray disrespected him by interfering in our relationship and that we were cutting ties with him. He told me he wouldn't discuss anything else about the night before until I did that. I told John I thought that was pretty unnecessary and that Ray had been trying to help me because John was acting really threatening and that I would have probably done the same in Ray's shoes. Well, John did not like that. He yelled, called me some names, and left the house. After a few hours, he sent me a text. I am sorry for yelling, but you need to respect what I want if you want the same in return. This can't be one-sided. Delete Ray's number and we will finish the conversation. Love you. I replied that I needed a little time to think and said I would be sleeping in the spare room when he got home and to please leave me alone for a while. I went to bed, heard John come in very late. He opened the door to the spare room and turned the light on, but as I woke up, he just walked out of the room and slammed the door. So this morning I've woken up, John is at work and I have a text from Ray. It says, "Hey, I hope you're okay. Look, what John did the other night is really not all right, and I think you should get out of there for a while. I've talked to my roommates and it's totally fine for you to crash here until you figure out what you want to do." So that leaves me where I am now. Don't know what to do about the situation. Do as John asks and cut contact with Ray, or take Ray's offer of some space away from John to clear my head. My worry is that if I stay at Ray's, that will destroy any chance of fixing things with John. Advice very much appreciated. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Darn right John wants you to stop contacting Ray. After all, Ray objected to him treating you abusively. You deserve so much better. John is emotionally abusive, and he uses the fact that you hate confrontation to control and manipulate you. Before I even reached the part of this post where he said to delete Ray from your phone, every instinct I had was screaming that you need to run to the hills. This is not a good guy. If even his brother is upset and supporting you here, that's a good sign that the way he treats you is beyond messed up. Please, please leave him. Please. You deserve so much better than someone who belittles and tries to control you. In no universe is what he did okay. Telling you to stay up in the bedroom so he wouldn't be embarrassed, like you're a small child being grounded. Every single red flag is waving here. Please get out and stay at friends with Ray. He seems like a solid good guy. Thanks for your advice. Everyone here has been really nice. It is making me look at this situation in a different light. If he truly cared for you, surely he'd be apologizing profusely. Instead, he's turning it all back on you. He's trying to manipulate you by refusing to engage in any discussion of his awful behavior until you cut contact with the one person who protected you from his torrent of abuse. John is a cruel, nasty person. I think you should listen to Ray. Ray is his brother, so Ray should be biased towards taking his brother's side. That he's taking your side speaks volumes about just how badly John is treating you. It does make me think when his brother, and now also his mother, who has just called me, are being so supportive towards me. John has had a bad habit of name-calling for as long as I can remember. It has always bothered me, but the last year or so it has gotten worse, much nastier. We have had good times though, and I don't want to ignore that. I'm just in a pretty messed up place at the moment. You need to get out of this relationship. If even his own brother is sticking up for you and not him, that should tell you something about John's lack of character. And the fact that John is trying to isolate you from someone who stepped up to help you also speaks volumes. Get out before he turns violent on you. He hasn't been physical before, but there have been a couple of occasions where he has gotten really in my face and swung his hands around a lot that made me nervous. I told him it made me feel scared once, but he got really upset and said that it was insulting that I would think he could hit me. Edit. When I was able to come back and check on this post, I was amazed at the enormous amount of comments and messages I received. There has been a lot to catch up on, and I am reading everything. Thank you to everyone who has given their advice. It has cemented the decision I've already made about getting out. But quite a bit has happened in the last days, so I will be doing an update for anyone who is curious. I will try to get it up in a few hours. Again, thank you to everyone who has commented or messaged me. I'm truly touched by all the helpful and caring responses I've received. Now for the update. After Ray texted me, I replied to him asking if he had known John to behave like this with other girls in the past. Over the course of many texts, it came out that he often yelled at and belittled his previous girlfriend in front of others, and some of his friends and family had suspicions about how far he was taking it. After the breakup, the girlfriend posted some stuff on Facebook about how John had hit her, said awful things to her, and did other things like spying on her and deleting people from her phone behind her back. Initially, when this happened, Ray and his parents questioned John, but he insisted that the physical abuse accusations were not true, and that his ex was saying those things to cover up the fact that she had allegedly cheated on him. John admitted to yelling at her, but he told his family that she did the same, and just as often. His family eventually accepted that, but Ray and his parents were always wary of John's behavior, and Ray in particular had made a point to keep an eye on things. John's ex apparently had also called Ray around 6 months after myself and John had gotten together and asked him to help me if anything happened. At the time, Ray was not quite ready to believe John would physically abuse anyone, but he told her all the same that he would watch out for me or any other girl in the future. Ray told me that after the way he saw John behave at my party, he became more convinced that John was likely to get physical, and that was why he chose to step in. He also told me that even if it didn't go that far, I should not put up with how John treated me. I agreed. What Ray had told me, and all the information and support I received here, had me pretty convinced that I was not in a good situation. I decided to go and stay with Ray and his roommates for a short time. I don't have too many other options for accommodation this urgently. My parents live too far away, and the few friends I could stay with are other girls with enough on their plate, and I didn't want to risk bringing this drama to their doorsteps. In retrospect, I'm glad I chose to go to Ray's, because I feel like what followed could have been even more frightening and dangerous if only myself and another girl had been present. I didn't have much time to get my stuff together before John was due to arrive home, so I packed a few bags of essentials and valuables, along with my school things, and Ray picked me up. I left a note at the house for John saying I was leaving and that I did not plan on returning, other than to retrieve the rest of my things. I didn't tell him where I would be staying and that I would rather he didn't contact me directly, suggesting he communicate through his mother instead. I got to Ray's and got settled in. While choosing to leave was difficult and I had a few bouts of crying, I also felt immensely relieved. Ray and their parents came around and brought some dinner. They were incredibly nice about everything and told me I had to do what was best for me. We always got along well, but I never expected them to be so kind and supportive given the situation. Halfway through dinner, my phone rang. It was John. I did not want to answer it, and everyone else agreed that was probably a good idea. After my phone rang out, Ray and their mom's phone began to ring. Predictably enough, it was John calling. His dad answered the phone. The phone was not on speaker, but John was loud enough that you could hear him yelling down the phone. I couldn't tell exactly what was said, but his dad was telling him to calm down and not to do something. John hung up on him, and Ray and his dad told us John was coming to Ray's place, and saying this was all Ray's fault. Ray started to get a bunch of text messages from John making threats and telling Ray that he knew I was there and he was coming to get me. Ray replied to him saying that if John came here and caused trouble, he would be calling the police, but John ignored him. John showed up at Ray's probably 15 minutes later. He drove up the lawn and almost hit the letterbox, got out of his car, and started yelling. Ray and his dad went out while I stayed in the front room with his mom. John yelled for a while and was kicking at random parts of the garden. Then he started to yell towards the house that he knew I was there and to come out. I wasn't planning on coming out at all, and Ray told him to leave. John ended up running around the side of the house to the back patio entry. The screen door was locked, but the solid back door wasn't, and he started hitting the fly wire trying to break it. He kept yelling into the house that he knew I was there, and that if I didn't come out, he would destroy all my stuff and log on to my school accounts and cause problems on there. Ray and his dad caught up to John and started pulling him away from the door. John started throwing punches, and his mom and I both went out to the inside of the back door because we were worried someone would get hurt. John saw me and started trying for the back door again, saying if I didn't get in the car, he would kill himself. His mom said she was going to call the police. Ray and his dad ended up hauling him out to the front yard and told him to leave. John did eventually get into the car. He spun his wheels, tore up the grass, and drove off. I felt pretty awful after all that. His mom and dad were both visibly really upset, and Ray's rental property had been messed up, and I felt responsible. They were still so nice about everything, though. They really are wonderful people. I spoke to the police and they said they would be speaking to John about what happened, and I got some advice about obtaining a restraining order and making sure I could find a way of retrieving my stuff from the house, so that is all okay for the moment. The latest news is that John has been all over Facebook saying that Ray and I had been having an affair and posting all these random cropped blurry porn pictures from the internet saying it was us and that he had caught us in the act. None of us are responding to any of it at this point. Haven't really decided what to do there. My plan is to stay with Ray for now. It's still my best option, and Ray has said he won't leave me alone at the house in case John comes back. Either he or his male roommate would be there. We also spoke to a couple of the neighbors that Ray is friendly with, and they said they would keep an eye out for his car or call us if they saw anything dodgy. I'm at a bit of a loss as to what to do next. I'm planning to talk to my university about getting into student housing. I'm planning to go out tomorrow to buy some pepper spray too. I'm tossing up about reaching out to John's ex, but I'm not sure if that will cause more problems for everyone. So I suppose that's it, for now at least. I'm sorry that this was a bit of a novel, but I know a lot of people wanted an update, and considering how nice everyone has been, I wouldn't want anyone to worry that I had gone back or stayed with him. Rest assured that is totally out of the question. The more I think about things that happened within our relationship with this new perspective, the more I realize how messed up some of those things were. Again, a huge thank you to everyone. I'll do my best to keep up with the comments and respond to any DMs. Last story. My husband tried to blame it on AI when I caught him with my best friend. I caught my husband cheating on me. I did not suspect it. I did not hear about it. My husband was out of town for business, so I thought I'd use this time to do some shopping and drove to town. And that's where I saw him with her. I called his name and he looked like he was seeing a ghost. He fumbled his words and asked, "What are you doing here?" I didn't say anything, then he just blurted, "It's AI." I started laughing, forgetting my misery for a moment. He realized what he said, so he said, "No, it's not what it looks like, and let me explain." I have been noticing that I am believing real life less and less. Whatever clip, picture, or article one of my friends and family sends me, I find myself needing to verify, like the Valhalla comment, for example, and I guess I am not the only one. My husband has probably already planned to blame any indiscretion on AI should I have found out any other way than how I did. This was his default response. It is sad. I guess he was prepared for if you found something on his phone. Exactly my thought. I'm sorry, but that was pretty funny. I find it very funny too. I told everyone around me and they couldn't help but laugh with me. At least your divorce lawyer will love that story. In a few years, I hope I do too.